The year is 2025. There's a lot of hype surrounding anime for this year. From newcomers such as the highly respected romance Kaoruhana Warin Tosaku to one of the most highly anticipated novels of all time, Lord of Mysteries, to the comeback of some really well-beloved franchises like Granblue, Spy X Family, and mainly Gintama. There were recent shows that managed to bring the attention of the entire of the anime world. Shows that nobody knew that they needed to watch. And there's One Punch Man. Why the hell is One Punch Man like this? However, between all of these heroes, figure skaters, and even generals, there's one star that was one of the brightest in the entire of the sky. And that one was an octopus? Well, yeah, because I'm talking about Takopi no Gensai, also known as Takopi's original sin. Hello there. Takopi's Original Sin was one of those shows that I was highly anticipating the second that it came out. Not only because I knew a little bit about the manga and I wanted to read it, but also because of the high rating and how highly praised that show was the second that it came out. There was a short period of time which you would see the show everywhere. Twitter, YouTube, whenever you were, there was gonna be at least one or a couple pictures of the girl or Takopi. So as almost every single time I got into a party way too late, and it's just now that I finally watched Takopi's Original Sin. And my opinion is that it's very weird. Yeah, extremely weird. I will explain the basics of the show, and I might say one individual spoiler that is happening around chapter 2. So if you do not want that, just leave. It's better for you to watch it and then I will explain it. So if you're still here, please for a second leave a like, comment and subscribe. I would really appreciate it and it would help the channel to grow. So let's keep with the video. The story focus is very simple. You have Shizuka, which is the main protagonist, being a very unhappy girl. She suffers from extreme levels of bullying and basically doesn't have a father to rely on, and her mother is almost even worse because she's there but not really. So she suffers severely. And all of a sudden she gets the help of a Happian, which is an intergalactic species which is basically the octopus, and is gonna make her feel good and be happy. How? Well, he's gonna try to help with some gadgets. From the first 2 episodes we basically see how brutal the bullying to Shizuka is. We see things from non-contact bullying like she getting destroy her stuff to straight up being attacked or harassed by others. It is absolutely depressing to watch, and it's one of the most gruesome experiences I have ever had in an anime. I was completely incapable of not showing a face of absolute disgust out of half of the things that were happening on screen. I absolutely hated that. And that is a great thing, because it was so real. The way in which this portrayed the bullying in just a couple episodes is so fantastic in terms of how horrendous it is, yet somehow realistic. I have seen that stuff happening in real life, and even worse. Thankfully not in my own school or something like that, but I have heard stories of very similar things. So this representation of bullying was absolutely real, and it felt so difficult to watch that I genuinely was, as I'm saying, I wasn't even able to cry. I was just like, how is this happening every single time? And then at some point in the story, they try to make you empathize with the bully, which is like, what are you saying? No, I want this bitch, like, outside of here, get rid of her as soon as possible, and oh, they did it. So that's why it's called Takopi's Original Sin. Ow! Yeah, at the middle of the second episode, Takopi accidentally gets rid of the bully in a way that is not allowed to be seen on YouTube. It was not as horrible as you can imagine, not as horrible as she deserved, but it was definitely a graphic scene. That scene was like the one moment in which I truly felt joy watching this show. Which is like, yeah, the one time that you feel joy is when somebody is no longer there. You can imagine how hard this show is as an experience. But then there's the thing that makes me have a problem with this show, which is that the direction of it is extremely awkward for most of the story. You see, the story follows what I would say that is three separate arcs, which is the first one, the full-on bully arc, the second one being like all of what happens after that event, and then a third one. And as I'm saying, my problems start with the second one. Because they accidentally hit Marina-chan too hard in the head, they now had to do something with what is happening. You see, she's no longer there, but she has her parents, so they're gonna be sad and they're gonna appear. So what are we gonna do about it? You see, the part 2 is basically Takopi impersonating Marina-chan, which brings a lot of weird things happening. Like, he tries to replicate her, however, he all of a sudden is now the friend of Shizuka because it's Takopi and not Marina. So all of a sudden we have from one chapter to the other Marina, that was an absolutely horrendous human being now all borderline lovey-dovey with Shizuka. Which, even if you know that it's Takopi, because it's very obvious that it's Takopi, it still feels extremely weird. And this weirdness feels throughout the entirety of the second part. It's not something that feels natural, even though you can understand that it kinda is. It feels like this story should be going through other direction, even if you do not know exactly which should be that direction. And the entirety of the part 2 feels like that. It should not be like that, yet it is. And every single moment feels awkward. Especially when you add into the equation the new guy, Asuma. Asuma is yet another guy from the same classroom as the two girls, both Marina and Shizuka, and he also has certain issues that we're gonna talk later on. You see, Asuma kinda stumbled into the crime scene and all of a sudden he got accidentally involved as well because he wanted to help Shizuka because he knew that both she didn't did it and that even if she did it was kind of deserved because of how horrible Marina was. So he decided to help her. Now here's where my actual complaints start with what is like the characters or how they are used in this story. You see, like every single character in this show tries to be as inhuman as possible and as horrendous as is possible for them, which is something that I feel unnatural at times. Granted, some of them are realistic to a certain extent. The way in which Marina showcases her struggle and her hatred towards a specific situation kinda makes sense when you consider that she is just a kid and at the end of the day they do not know what to do actually. It's extremely disgusting regardless, but it makes sense. However, most of the others do not have such an excuse. Like, Marina's mother is extremely manipulative with her daughter because of her husband, and that's it. You also have like the mother of Asuma, which is also manipulative just for the sake of it. And I not even started talking about the mother of Shizuka. Like, I can understand having a neglectful parent, but one thing is having a neglectful parent and the other one is literally getting into your house almost dead and all of a sudden your parent is like, yeah, that happened. It's something that happens. Like, yeah, why not? It's like not a single character in the whole story is doing anything to prevent you from saying that they are the worst human that you have ever encountered. Even the protagonists are trying hard to be unlikable. Like, Asuma does everything just for love to the point of he almost doing something horrible to his brother multiple times, despite the fact that it is extremely obvious from the get-go how good of a person his brother is, which is the only redeemable character in this whole show. And then you have the other two main protagonists, which is like Takopi, which, oh my god, that is a problem in and of itself. Like, I can get having an oblivious protagonist, an oblivious character, but the copy gets to a whole different level of being so infuriatingly useless half of the time that is annoying. It's like, oh, she is being beaten. Oh, that is because she stole something. Or, oh, that is because I did something wrong. Oh, that is because of whatever reason except the fact that she can be bad. Like, it might be logical for you at first to think, okay, that might be something if, as I'm saying, you're oblivious. But one thing is being oblivious and the other one is seeing constantly how horrible things happen to her every single minute for like at least 4 to 5 days in time in story. And you feel like that is okay for whatever reason, so it's extremely annoying to watch Takopi. And Shizuka, which is supposed to be like the only saving grace, oh my god, I don't want to spoil because that is a spoiler from later on in the story, but they prove to you that she is also an extremely horrendous human being, which is like, what is the point of showing everyone being so bad and miserable? Like, I can get some of the things of Shizuka doing certain stuff that is questionable at best with Asuma, because she is a broken child. I can get it. I cannot get why you would put her by what she did in later episodes in Tokyo. And the people that have seen the show know what I'm talking about. That is truly despicable, and I don't understand why is that a thing. Another issue genuinely big that I have with the show is how non-existent the actual impact of certain events is. Like, how I mentioned that there's this group of 3 or 4 protagonists, which is basically Shizuka, Asuma, Takopi, and kinda Marina, if you want to count the new Takopi as Marina and early Marina as Marina. Like, those are it, which, is a small cast, and I can understand this show being extremely short, so you cannot show to the audience a really, really deep level of, importance of other characters. But it's like the other characters are just there. Like, when the bullying happens to Shizuka, it happens between like 5 kids overall, which is like 1/5 of the classroom, and somehow the rest of the classroom doesn't care at all. Also, the teacher doesn't care. So we have 2 groups of people that literally do nothing. It's not saying that they agree, it's not saying that they disagree. I'm saying literally showing any type of emotion towards the things that are happening every single day on the high school. Well, sorry, middle school. She's extremely young. Maybe not even middle school. Maybe she's just in primary, whatever. The point is that nobody does nothing. The first thing that we know about her is that she constantly have to buy for like at least 3 or 4 days in a row a new cardboard because they constantly destroy the one that she has. And the store owner also doesn't matter. Also, the mother, for some reason, would not even say a thing. Like, your own child has bought the same product 4 days in a row. Why is she doing that? She doesn't care. Once again. And the things amplify in a worse way once Marina stopped being there. Because now all of a sudden, remember how I said that Takopi was very friendly with Shizuka in the Marina form? Yeah, nobody bats an eye. Literally no one, not a single soul says that something weird is going on. Like, there is one scene of the former friends of Marina being like concerned or weird out at the fact that she was acting now all friendly with the girl, and that's it. Not a single comment about that. Not a single comment from any of the other characters, or at least the background characters that are the high school. Oh my god, why am I saying high school again? The schoolmates, and not a single comment from the teacher. Which once again is like, if you are allowing this, you are agreeing with it, or at least you do not hate it, so why are you not showing anything? And the whole deal starts getting weirder and weirder when you look at other characters. Like, the parents of Marina are extremely weird, and we see the story through the lenses of the Marina that is not really Marina, but is Takopi, and we see how awful they truly are, which is interesting. But then, once again, something big happens, which is that it's something that is kind of a spoiler. I don't think that it matters because you can actually kind of just notice it and know that it's bound to happen eventually because of how horrible the work that they did was. But they found the body of Marina, and basically it's like it didn't happen. The parents that Marina had, the ones that were shown as being big deals thanks to the relation with the Takopi Marina, are not even shown once. There's also the thing that throughout this entire show, there's only one showcase of quote unquote consequences. That is that the girls, one thing that they do outside of just being orbiting around the original Marina, the bad girls that are the friends of Marina before she stops being alive, is that they tell to the police that Shizuka might be related. And they show you then that Shizuka goes to the police station. They don't show you anything about the police station. They don't show you any of the questions that they do to her. And it's never bring up again. It is just there to happen for one reason, which is for something related with Asuma, and that's it. There's no reason as to why that happens, period. It has absolutely no consequences in the story outside of the fact that now Takopi doesn't have to fake being Marina anymore. Like, that is the whole thing. That and one conversation, why I said the number 2, one conversation in which he's asking Shizuka whether they should go and tell to the parents what actually happened. That's it. Nothing else. Like, there's no reason as to why you should be able to think anything else about the characters shown. It's like in just 6 chapters, you managed to make so many plot conveniences and things to omit important aspects of the story that are not even gonna bring that much time down the schedule, It's like showing once the classmates being like, okay, what the hell happened? Or showing once what would actually happen outside of just saying, oh, she would go to juvenile centers if we manage to catch her, which is never something that is actually a possibility in the story. So it's like, it can happen. And yeah, I absolutely hate that part of the show because it undermines everything else, which is the good stuff of the show. The show is an absolute masterpiece. Like, everything of what I just said up until this point is some of my personal complaints. And granted, some of these would actively undermine the value of the show if it was longer. I can excuse the fact that they do not show everything in detail because it's extremely short. I just heavily disagree with that decision. But in everything else, this show is so good that is crazy. As I already stated, the way in which they portray the bullying is so damn well done that is scary, and from the rest of the show, it got me with that disgust face throughout the entirety of it. Even when the good stuff was happening, the things that were supposed to be happy, I was completely in like this feeling of this should not be like this. And that weird feeling, it's probably also part of the intention, which is why I think that they make a great job at that at the very least. There's also part of the storytelling in which they managed to make some really great decisions as to how to actually salvage some characters. There are very interesting and well done decisions, like the reason to why Asuma stops being as important at certain point in the story is magnificent and is perfect in my opinion. It does not mean that you need to go and everything do it around the protagonist. And that is the one moment in which everything is around everything but the protagonist group. And that is fantastic. The way that he resolves his own mental issues in the way that he did is just straight up perfect. There's also the showcase of everything related with Marina's past, or what is the other side of things, which I'm not gonna spoil because it's a really big spoiler of what is like the 5th episode, but basically it turns everything upside down. And it goes for the actual big thing, which makes me believe that this is an actual masterpiece, which is about Takopi. Do you remember what I said about the Takopi's original scene? Well, that is not Takopi's original scene. I'm not gonna say anything about it because once again that would be a spoiler, but the reveal of what is the actual Takopi's original scene is so well crafted and it makes so much sense that makes you feel like, oh, that just happened, that just makes sense, oh. And it makes you go for a total turnaround in terms of the consequences of everything of what just happened, and everything what just happened, why it happened that way, and everything start making so much sense. And it makes you actually empathize with what is happening to a certain extent. Yeah, the irredeemable Marina-chan, there's actually some redeemable things in her, which is insane to consider. It still has some issues at the end of the day, don't get it twisted. I still believe that there's some major issues in my opinion, like that borderline last scene in which there's this Takopi drawing. I'm not gonna specify, but the way in which that concludes is like, that shouldn't be like that. But other than that, it is still fantastic for the most part how well executed it is, even if I have some true genuine complaints about the way that they do it. Overall I think that it's very good because I think that I can try to separate my own opinion from what is the objective measurement. Yeah, I'm trying to be objective about something that is inherently subjective. What do you think about it? Yeah. So yeah, the show has some really big ups and downs. It has some of the more interesting highs out of any anime in 2025, maybe even the highest highs out of any anime in 2025. It has some of the weaker lows out of any quote-unquote great anime of 2025. And that's why, at least in my opinion, Takopi's original scene is really weird. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you want more content like this, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. It would help the channel to grow and will help you to make me know that you actually want more of this type of reviews. Also, if you want a specific review about a specific show, also comment down below. I want to see some new shows that I have not actually made reviews about. And without anything else to explain, I see you in the next video, so see you next time. Bye bye.